Lesson 5 from Chapter 1 gets into multiplication patterns. So now I'm taking what we learned about exponents with the power of 10, and I'm going to multiply that by a basic math fact. So I have an example here for you. My first example is 7 times 8 equals 56. This is my basic fact, my basic math fact. So, as you can see, I have 7 times 8 in parentheses all the way down. You do what is in parentheses first in math, according to order of operations. So, I'm going to do in this problem first 7 times 8, and that equals 56. Now, I'm going to leave that 56 alone for the next part. Now I look to my power of 10. My power of 10, think back to the shortcut with the exponent. The power of 10, there's the number 1 as an exponent. So that 1 is really telling me that I am going to add 1 place value onto my original basic fact. Because really this is telling me 56 times 10. And that will give me 560. Now, let's look at 7 times 8 times the second power of 10. So since 7 times 8 is in parentheses, I need to do that first. And I'm going to leave the 56 alone. I'm not going to touch it now. So let's look to the exponent. The exponent is 2. Think back to my shortcut from lesson 4. And when you have the exponent of 2, that means that you need to add 2 place values to the end of your basic fact. Because really this is saying 56 times 10 times 10, which gives us 5,600. Let's look at the last problem. 7 times 8 is in parentheses, and I'm timesing it by the third power of 10. So 7 times 8, since that's in parentheses, I do that first. That fact is 56. So I'm going to look to the exponent to tell me what to do, how many place values to add to the end. Since the exponent is 3, that is telling me that I'm going to add 3 zeros to the end of my basic math fact. Because really this problem is saying 56 times 10 times 10 times 10. Because this 3, this exponent of 3, is telling me that I'm multiplying that base number 10 3 times. Let's look at another problem. This problem says 6 times 5 equals what? I need to first figure out what my answer is. So 6 times 5, I know that basic math fact is 30. Oh, well, now it's the other things that are blank. So I have my basic math fact and I have my answers, but I need to figure out what my powers of 10 are. So I know that 6 times 5 is 30. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight it. You can box off, you can circle the 30. I'm going to do that all the way down. So I know, you can box it off if you want to. So I know that those two numbers are together. So now as I'm looking at it, I know that I'm multiplying by my powers of 10. So I'm going to put my base number 10 down. And I know that because I added zeros to the end of my basic math fact. So now let's figure out the exponents. How many zeros, I'm going to think to myself, how many zeros, how many place values did I add after my regular basic math fact? Well, I have 1 0 here. So that's my way of thinking that I have an exponent of 1. So really this problem would have said 30 times 10 to get 300. So look at this problem now. 6 times 5 times 10, we don't know the exponent, but my answer was 3,000. Well, I boxed off and highlighted my 30, which was my basic fact. And now I want to look at the 2 zeros after that. Those 2 zeros are my hint that the exponent is 2, that I added 2 place values on after the original basic fact. Because really this problem is saying 30 times 10 times 10 to get 3,000. The last one I want to look at, 6 times 5 times 10, and we don't know the exponent on this one. So I put a box around my basic math fact from the 6 times 5. And now I see I have 3 zeros afterwards. Those 3 zeros are telling me that my exponent is 3. Because I added 3 place values on after my regular basic fact. Because really this problem is saying 30 from the 6 times 5 times 10 times 10 times 10 because I have an exponent of 3. Let's look at some other problems. Here's another one. 9 times 5 equals 45. So what I'm going to do for this is I have to do what's in the parentheses first. So 9 times 5, I already know is 45. Well, if I'm timesing it by a base 10, a power of 10 with an exponent of 1, that's telling me that I need to add 1 place value, because remember I said the shortcut is looking at that exponent, because really this problem is saying 45 times 10 to get 450. Let's look at the next one. 9 times 5 times the second power of 10. Well, I know 9 times 5 is in parentheses, so I do that first, and that is 45. My second power of 10, this exponent of 2, is telling me that I need to add 2 place values onto the original basic fact. So really this problem is saying, when stretched out, 45 times 10 times 10 to give me 4,500. The last problem is 9 times 5 times the third power of 10. So I know my basic math fact, 9 times 5 is 45, and I'm doing my shortcut. I'm looking at that exponent. That exponent's telling me 3, that I need to add 3 place values on to make this 45,000, because really this problem is telling me 45 times 10 times 10 times 10, 3 times. Let's look at a few more. My next problem is 5 times 4 equals 20. So 5 times 4, since it's in the parentheses, I do that first. I know 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, well, I have a 0 here. But this 0 is not the 0 that this exponent is talking about. This 0 is a part of the basic math fact. So what I like to do when I have something like this is put a box around it so I know not to touch it. Now let's do my shortcut. Look at the exponent, which is 1, and it's telling me I need to add a place value to that original basic fact answer. So this problem is really saying 20 times 10, and that's where I came up with the 200. Let's do the same thing down here. 5 times 4 is my basic math fact. I know that's 20. Because I don't want to get confused with the zeros, I'm going to put a box around this, so that's my way of reminding myself that that 0 is not a part of the zeros I'm adding from the exponent. So my shortcut is I look to the exponent is 2. That's telling me that I need to add 2 zeros to that original basic fact product. Because really this problem is telling me 20 from the parentheses times 10 times 10 to get 2,000. Let's look at this one. 5 times 4 times the third power of 10. I do my basic math fact first because it's in parentheses, so that's 20. Now, I'm going to put my box around it as my reminder to not touch that 0 and not include that 0 when I'm doing the zeros for the exponent and adding place values on. Now I look to the exponent. The exponent is 3, so that means I need to add 3 place values after the 20 to make my answer 20,000, because this problem's saying 5 times 4, which is 20, times the third power of 10, which is really 10 times 10 times 10. Remember, 10 with an exponent of 3 is not saying 10 times 3. It is not saying that. It is saying 10 times 10 times 10. This exponent is telling you how many times you are multiplying this base number. Now, you might see problems that are simple, like this, where it says 4 times 3 times the second power of 10. Well, you do these the exact same way. You do the parentheses first, the basic math fact. So we have 4 times 3. That is 12. And then I'm going to look to the exponent to tell me how many place values to add, how many zeros to add after my basic math fact. So this exponent is 2, so I'm going to add 2 zeros to make it 1,200, because this problem is really saying 12 times 10 times 10. It's really what the problem's saying. Let's look at this one. 8 times 8 times 10 with an exponent of 4, so the fourth power of 10. So I do my basic math fact first. 8 times 8 is 64. Write that down on the answer line. Now I do my shortcut. I look to the exponent. The exponent's telling me that I should add 4 place values after my basic math fact product. So I'm going to add 4 zeros. Count my comma, 1, 2, 3, comma, and get 640,000. Because really what this problem is saying is 64 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. And that gives me 640,000. Let's look at the last problem. 2 times 5 times the third power of 10. So I do my basic math fact first. 2 times 5 is 10. Oh, well, here I have another one. Like the problem before where I have a 0. So I'm going to put a little box around this. If you're using pencil, just do it lightly. Just so that way in my head, I know that this is part of the basic math fact product. It's not, this 0 is not getting counted towards that exponent of 3. It's by itself. It's a part of the original answer. So now I do my shortcut. Look to the exponent, which is 3, and that's telling me that I need to add 3 place values after the product of the basic math fact. So my answer now becomes 10,000, because this problem's really saying 2 times 5 is 10 times, I'm going to multiply that 10 3 times. 10 times 10 times 10. And that gives me 10,000.